it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a very exciting video. I love doing these now. I think I started in the fall of last year, and they are my 5-star reads from the spring. That is March, April, and May. I read a lot of books, and I have quite a few 5-star reads, and they got impressively more as the months went on. So March had my least, May had my most, and they are amazing books. But before I get to the video, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Stephanie Rose. So Stephanie Rose's new book is The Marriage Solution. This has all of my favorite tropes. It is marriage of convenience, friends to lovers, forced proximity because they're living together, and it sounds amazing. So the heroine actually is diagnosed with lupus in this book. I am very, very excited for the representation in here, and the heroine, when she's diagnosed, she does not have any insurance. So her best friend of so many years says, let's get married. They're actually in Vegas for someone else's wedding, and he says, let's get married, and she's like, I guess we can. He lives hundreds of miles away. They can get married on paper. She can get insurance. Little do they know, he is relocated to New York where she lives, so he has to move in with her. And they fall in love, and it sounds the cutest. I would like to point out they also had a drunken almost kiss in college, so there is some tension already brewing there, and they have to kiss on their wedding day, and obviously things lead to more. So I'm very excited for this new release. Definitely check out The Marriage Solution and check out Stephanie Rose, and thank you so much to her for sponsoring this video. I would also like to point out the synopsis does say, I'm moving with my wife, in italics, and we love a my wife moment. The first one, I don't think I own this one, and that is Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley. This was my third book by Claire Kingsley, but it was definitely my favorite. This one's Grump Sunshine. She wants to leave working for her father because she finds her father sleeping with her best friend. She's horrified, but she needs money to get out of town and decides to ask the hero for help because her dad had kind of cheated him out of a car. So he is a very, very, very grumpy, closed off hero. I love the family dynamics in this series though so much. It is the Bailey brothers series, I believe. So he has brothers to like all the Bailey siblings, and he has a lot of family moments. No matter how much he tries to push them away, they're always there for him, and it was a really good book, and I'm excited to continue on with the series. Then we have The Naked Fisherman by Julie Ann. I obviously need to finish this duet. I have not yet read the second book, even though I read this back in March. This one I read for a video reading Cheyenne's favorite books, and it was so good. It's age gap. It is forbidden. She works with him. She lives near him. She's living with her mom, and her mom goes on a business trip, and she's like, you can go and make sure Fisherman takes care of you like a big brother. Obviously more happens, and I just really loved how there was so much depth to their connection than what you initially thought, and it was so good. I love Forbidden Taboo Time. Check this out if you haven't yet, but the second one has amnesia, and I need to read it now. Okay, so a lot of these I do own because obviously I have to like own my favorites. Next, I read Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. I love this book. I did just read the first book in the series, which I gave 4 stars, but this one's my favorite. It's friends to lovers. Like I said, that is one of my favorite tropes ever. They met on New Year's Eve, and nothing happened between them, and the heroine is like kind of always had a little bit of a crush on him, kind of having like an existential crisis, and buys a bus and wants to renovate it, and he helps her, and they are adorable. They are like the cutest, sweetest thing ever. This is such a cozy friends to lovers romance. I loved it, with some real life things happening that are definitely emotional, which I appreciated, but they go to a wedding together. There's a road trip in here. So many things I loved, and I'm so excited for her new book because it looks really, really, really good. Then one that I actually DNF'd for a little bit and picked back up and ended up being an absolute favorite is Daisy Hates. This one is just Daisy Hates, I think. The fourth book is Daisy Hates and the Great Undoing, but this one is so good. It is not BJ and Magnolia, they're book 1. This one is Daisy and what is the hero's name? I always forget because we actually get her brother's point of view in here as well. So I always get them confused. It's Daisy and Christian because Julian is her brother. And Daisy and Christian have a very, very messy relationship, just like BJ and Magnolia. And Christian was actually in love with Magnolia, which is really hard to read. And Daisy has someone she was in love with too. So there are lots of messy like love triangle squares things going on in here. And it reads kind of mafia, which I really loved as well. And I love this whole friend group, and I'm obsessed with this world, and 5 stars, no surprise, and I cannot wait to continue on. Then I read the next book for a vlog I did reading BookTube's favorite books. If you missed that video, I can link it down below, but these are all the books that BookTube loved in 2022, and this was like everybody's favorite. Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I read this like in a day and a half. Do you see how big this book is? And the font is extremely tiny. I flew through this book. It is really long. I already have the rest of the series because I needed to own it. It's almost 600 pages for contemporary, and it is new adult but takes place in high school, but I definitely feel like it's more new adult. And the hero is a rugby player, and the heroine moved schools because she was severely bullied at her old school, and he accidentally hits her in the head with a rugby ball on her first day, and that's when he notices her more and just wants to protect her, and his protective instinct is amazing. She does live in an abusive household, which is really hard to read, and you just want the best for her, and it is so good. So good and emotional, and just like you fall in love with this book for the characters and the journey they go on. I was obsessed. That was it for March. Very short for March, but April we had a little bit more. So we are starting off strong with Blame It on the Tequila by Fiona Cole. This one I loved. I did a read along with Tori for this series. Book 1 was fine, but books 2 and 3 were amazing. This one is a second chance. They hooked up when they were younger and they were step siblings. Now their parents aren't together anymore, but he is a musician and she is reunited with him because her friend like asks to be on like an Instagram live with him, and he accepts, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's you. And she ends up going on tour with them because she actually had helped write their songs in the past, and she is a social media influencer. I think she does art and goes on tour with them, and it is so good. So Forced Proximity, Traveling, Second Chance Romance. My two favorites are Friends to Lovers and Second Chance. I cannot get enough of them. This one, amazing. The whole series is good, but this one was my favorite. Talking about angst, I love angst. The next one is The Wrong Bride by Katerina Mora. This one, the heroine is in love with her friend, another friend's lovers, and he is engaged to her sister. So she was supposed to be married to him. So this is all in a series where all the siblings have arranged marriages by their grandmother to get their inheritance, and the grandmother's like, you have to marry one of the daughters in this family, and he was initially going to marry the heroine, but then something happened where he wakes up and is like, I'm madly in love with the older sister. So they get engaged, but she has been dragging her feet to get married, and the grandmother says, you're gonna get married on this day to one of the girls, I don't care which one. She knows her sister's not going to show up. Her sister has an acting career. She doesn't want to settle down because there's stipulations in the contract. They can't be apart. And the sister is like, I have this acting career. Like, I'm not going to give it up for him. So she shows up, the heroine does, and marries her best friend, who she's been pining after this whole time. And he is determined to make it work. So very, very messy because it's her sister's fiance, but I loved it. This one was so good. One of my favorites by Katerina Mora. I think Bittersweet Memories is still my favorite, but this one, so good. Then we have A Small Town, Friends to Lovers, Second Chance. This had my two favorites combined. That's Moments in Time by KK Allen. I've talked about this a lot. This one, our heroine and hero were best friends growing up, and they were on the cusp of something more, but the heroes lost someone. So in this series, they all are siblings, and they lost a sibling, which really affected all of them. And so they have this Camp Bexley where they all work. So he lives in this small town, and she left to get married to his best friend and is back divorced and a single mom, and she is a dancer. She owns her own dance studio, but she needs more money, so she dances and shows up at one of his events and does a private dance for him, and things go from there. I love this. They had to rehash what went wrong and why she would betray him by marrying a best friend, and I just love this one so much. I'm excited for the rest of the series because we have more damaged brothers, especially book 4, because he is the one that was in the military. So I think like he had gone missing or something or got hurt, but looks really good. I love the series. Then we have a surprise. We have Right Man, Right Time by Megan Quinn. This one is a hockey romance and age gap and fake dating. So many good tropes. I read this because my friend Tori from Novel Life absolutely loved it, and I was like, okay, I gotta give it a shot if Tori loves it. And this one, she is like at a bar and she's with these people and they are talking about, I think it was her ex, and she's like, oh, I've moved on, I'm fine, I have a boyfriend now. And so she goes up to the first guy she sees that she's attracted to and is like, I'm gonna kiss you in 10 seconds. If that's not okay, tell me no. He doesn't say anything and lets her kiss him, and they end up fake dating. He is also trying to get over an ex who had cheated on him, and so they fake date, and he's like, what am I doing fake dating someone in college? Like, he is a 30-something-year-old hockey player. He is like, she is in college, and she was like a little immature at times, but this one was so much fun. I had a lot of fun reading it. I loved the hockey in here. I loved the age gap. I just agreed that this is worth all the hype. Then I read my favorite, Echoes of You by Catherine Cowles. This one is a friends to lovers romance, and this one, our heroine and hero were best friends growing up. He always helped comfort her, so they would like a lot of times fall asleep together so that she felt just safe and comforted because she had an abusive father. doctor. So now she has moved away and is coming back to their small town, running away from an abusive ex, and she basically runs back into the arms of our hero. He is there to protect her and to keep her safe, and they fall in love again, and there is romantic suspense in here. Someone's coming after her, but I love a good second chance romance. And we have a who hurt you moment because he notices that she's been abused and he is like, absolutely not, no one touches you. And I love a protective hero like that. We have a dog in here, we have only one bed, we have so many good tropes in here, and I loved it. And the last favorite of April, definitely recommend listening to the audio, was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. My dad ended up listening to this. I gave him my Audible login and I was like, Dad, read this book. You have to read this book. It is so good, and he loved it. This one is I don't even know how to describe it. She doesn't like him when she first meets him. He's a doctor, so I guess it's a workplace romance. They both work at the same hospital, and she is just having a really hard time in life. She is divorced, and her brother has been diagnosed with something where he needs a new kidney, and so she is just having a really hard time because her brother is not the same anymore, and he's having a hard time as well, and she is just like really angry at this new doctor because she's supposed to get like chief or something, and now he's in the running, and she's just mad. And she takes it out on him, but then she slowly gets to know him, and he has a really bad anxiety, and he starts writing her letters because it makes him more comfortable, and then she is so aware of how he feels and tries to make him feel better in situations, especially like social situations. She invites him over to someone's house and she like texts him every detail he would want to know before going so that he just feels more calm and aware of the situation, and just like those little moments were so perfect. This does rely a lot on miscommunication. I am aware that does happen, but they were perfect. I love them so much. I love this book. Zachary Weber is the narrator. He was absolutely amazing, and you need to read it. Now we're going on to May. I have 8 books I loved in May. May was a knockout month. I'm so excited for all these books. The first one's a small town romance, Bodyguard Romance, and that is Beyond the Thistles by Samantha Young. This one takes place in Scotland. The heroine's running away from an abusive ex, and she is a single mom, and she got a job at this estate for like really wealthy people, and the hero is a bodyguard there, and she is attacked at the estate, and then also someone is like attacking her and stalking her, and the hero is like, no one's gonna touch you, I'm gonna take care of you, and they start a friends with benefits situation that does turn into something more, but he has a very damaged past that's really hard for him to overcome and let anybody in, so she slowly starts breaking down his walls too, and it's really, really good. I really enjoy this one. Then I have Love, Charlie, and Clichés by Ella Mays. This one was just like a warm hug. I love super cozy romances right now, and this one, the hero and heroine had spent about a week together a few years ago, and something happened though where they just couldn't be together. It was like the perfect person but extremely wrong time, and so now, years later, she's working for her dad's PR company, and he is hired as a team lead, and she is on his team, and so she is definitely a very quirky, very awkward character, and they start falling so hard for each other, and it is a neighbor's romance. They live in the same complex, so they see each other all the time around and can't stop spending time together, and he cannot stop touching her when he starts to like her. It is so amazing, the little moments they have where he is just like, I cannot not touch you when we're in the same room, and just the little stolen glances and moments between them while they're at work was everything. If you like a forced proximity workplace romance, you have to read this one. I was obsessed. Then I listened to the audiobook of Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting. This one is an age gap, younger guy, older woman, college professor romance, hockey player romance. So he is a hockey player, he's in his senior year of hockey, and he hooks up with this woman at this lake over the summer, and it's amazing. They both have like the best time, but then they leave, go their separate ways. He walks into his new class that he didn't realize he had signed up for with a new professor. He thought it was going to be a breeze because he needs to keep up his grades for hockey, and the heroine is the professor, and he is freaking out because obviously they had hooked up and he needs to pass this class. And what's frustrating is that no one would care about their age gap or their dynamic if he wasn't in college anymore. If he was a hotshot hockey player, no one would care that he was dating an older woman, but because he's in a senior year of college, they can't do anything. And so they try their best to keep their hands off each other and out of each other's way, but he lives by her, and her ex will not leave her alone. She is in the process of a divorce, he is dragging his feet to do it, and he will not leave her alone, and the hero gets very protective over her, and I loved it so much. I love this so much. Like, the forbidden aspect, his family's hilarious when they figure out who he's in love with, and I just had so much fun reading it. And as a hotshot hockey player, this was great as well. If you have not read this series yet, definitely do. I cannot wait for book 3. Then I have one that that everybody loves, and that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This one is amazing. It is Dragon Rider's fantasy. It is hate to love romance. Her mom is responsible for killing his parents, and his family is responsible for the death of her brother. Lots of animosity between them, and they are training to be dragon riders. She is now like one of like the first years, I guess, and he has been there for a few years. He does have a dragon. The dragon had picked him. She is training though, and in the training, tons of people die. So she has a disability where she gets hurt very easily, and she's very small, so nobody thinks that she can make it. She was actually supposed to be a scribe. She was supposed to be someone who like worked in the library, but her mom made her be a dragon rider because her sister and her mom are like legends, and so she does go into the competition and falls for her enemy, and it is amazing. I loved it so much. 5 stars. I cannot wait for book 2. Then I have King of Pride by Anna Huang. This one is a forbidden romance where Kai is a billionaire. He is very quiet, but he is very smart and very intelligent and always the best at everything. And so he goes to this like elite club all the time, and she's a bartender there, and she cannot fraternize with anybody who is a member because she will get blacklisted from like everywhere and fired. So she obviously has a pull to him, and they start seeing each other outside of work when she like goes to the piano room and is playing, and he notices her and she's better than him, and they start spending more time together, and I loved it so much. He just falls so hard for her and just wants to give her everything, but he is also very hard to like break down his walls as well. But it was so good. Definitely a class difference because she's just a bartender and he is a billionaire, but I really enjoy this one. It's so good. I love a stoic hero who has a very soft side. This one was just so good, and he's trying to get CEO of his company, so he has a lot on his plate, and he's used to being the best, and when he's not, he's very upset, and it was just good. Then I have one that made me cry, and that is The Rest of the Story by Tal Bauer. This was a Patreon book club pick for my Patreon, and oh my gosh, it is an hockey romance and very found family. Our hero is pulled and traded to a team that is the worst in the league. He realizes something is very wrong with his team, like very dangerously wrong to the health of the players. So he is brought in, he pretty much takes over being captain and really brings this team from the ashes to hopefully something that can be better. And such found family aspects in here because the team is broken and they just don't know what to do, and he is there to build them back up, and I loved it. It's his romance with a new rookie who's pretty much like the captain of the rookies, and their romance was just the sweetest, and I was obsessed. And there are, like I said, very broken characters in here, and what they had to go through made me cry. This was so good. So much hockey in here too, which I really loved. You get practice, you get to see them implement that in games, and you really start caring about the games, and it's definitely an underdog story because they are the worst in the league and he's trying to help them get better. I love this one. I'm so excited to read more by this author. Then I have Forbidden Hearts by Corinne Michaels. This should be coming out soon, if not today. I don't remember the exact day. Like, it comes out on the 5th, but I don't remember the date of the day the video that I'm filming right now is coming out. So this one is a single dad, nanny, age gap romance, and it is so good. Our heroine, she is home for the summer from grad school. She had a very bad experience happen to her that she's still recovering from, and so she doesn't know what she wants to do. She just knows she cannot go back to that school. She's just heartbroken about what happened. And so she's home for the summer, and the hero, he has a daughter who is deaf, and so she needs ASL to communicate, and he does not want to stick her with anybody who doesn't know how to communicate with her for the summer because his child's mother, they have a very amicable relationship. Everything's great, but she's gone for the summer, and so he needs to find a babysitter. He went with a company and like an agency, and the only babysitter that knew ASL quit. So he is like, I need someone. And his boss is like, my daughter knows ASL. That's what she's actually studying audiology in college. Like, she can help you. And he's like, no, she babysat my daughter when she was 3, back when she was a teenager, and it was horrible. And so he's like, she's so immature and she's not reliable. And they're like, she's your only pick, so you better pick her and give her a chance. So the heroine is determined to prove herself, but then she has to stay the night sometime if he's working night shift or on call, and things heat up between them, and it's so good. And I really loved how protective the hero was at the end. It was so good. Age gap romance, definitely. It's 14 years. I loved it. Single dad. So good. And the last one I have is Reckless by Elsie Silver. This one comes out, I believe, June 9th, and I got an early copy of it. This one is a surprise baby romance, but it was so good. I love Theo so much. Theo is such a cinnamon roll hero. He is such a sunshine. It's very Sunshine Grump, where the hero's the sunshine and the heroine's very grumpy, she has gone through a lot, and so she acts angry and mean and grumpy to protect herself. That is her shield from what happens in her life, and I just really appreciated her growth and how Theo really wanted to get to know her and get under that exterior and just like love her for who she is, because she feels like she's hard to love. She's going through divorce and she gets pregnant and there's a bit of a time jump, and it's amazing. I love Theo. Theo as a dad is everything. He's a bull rider too, so you get some of that in here. One of my new favorites of the series. You have to read it. And those are all of the books that I've read in the last 3 months that were 5-star reads. Definitely let me know what your recent 5-star reads are, or if you've read these, I would love to hear. And a huge thank you to Stephanie Rose for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check out The Marriage Solution for a marriage of convenience, friends to lovers, disability rep romance. Literally has all my favorite tropes. Forced proximity. This one I am so excited to read. Who doesn't love a married in Vegas to your best friend who you have to end up living with and falling in love with? So definitely check it out. I'll link down below in the description box, and thank you again to Stephanie for sponsoring this video. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.